It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for that nice introduction. This is an event that we've been looking forward to for some time. I'm humbled to be here today to officially introduce our new partnership with LifeMark Partners and to roll out our first new product together, Cancer Guardian. Before coming here tonight, I was discussing this talk with my wife, and she told me wisely, she said, don't try to be too charming, too witty, or too intellectual. She said, just be yourself. Cancer is an insidious disease. I lost my stepfather to cancer. I lost my mother to cancer. And I lost my father to cancer, and I almost lost my daughter. But she survived, and I'm a survivor too. And I know many of you may have your own personal stories about how cancer has affected your family. As we unfold our new relationship, you will see it's both a commercial relationship, and it's also one that has the potential to create significant societal value. You will see if we are successful, we can make a huge difference in the final push against the battle of cancer. And let me just share with you what we're going to cover in the next hour. First of all, we're going to give you an overview of how we came to be here today, and as Bill said, it was a very serendipitous start. Then I'm going to offer thanks to both the LifeMark Partners team and our team at WGA who made this all possible. And then you will meet our team members, and the reason for that is we're entering into a 5-year, multi-million-dollar relationship, and I want you to get to know our folks well, and vice versa. Because together our mission is to extend lives as we extend relationships with our clients. I will then share with you an overview of our Cancer Guardian program and a glimpse of the others to follow. Then Mark Winham, our Chief Scientific and Chief Operating Officer, will share with you the exciting state of the world of genomics and an overview of the discoveries that we can expect in the future. Mark will also share how genomics and personalized and precision medicine work together and how they are revolutionizing healthcare as we speak. Plus, we have a special guest with us today in Mike Nolan, who's a senior executive with Foundation Medicine. Foundation Medicine is our lab partner for this program. They are the leading lab in the world for cancer genomic sequencing, and we are proud to be partners with Mike and with Foundation. And I think once you hear their story, you will be proud to be partners with them as well. In getting to know Bill Shiloh and LifeMark Partners over the past year and a half, I've heard this saying time and again, and it's attached to me: the strength of many, the power of one. And LifeMark Partners has become a powerful organization with many agency owners, thousands of advisors, millions of policyholders. So it really is the strength of many. And so as Bill and I discussed the Cancer Guardian program, we realized that the strength of many this time is your ability to give policyholders the possible advantage, every possible advantage, should they happen to have cancer. And it's the power of making a huge difference at a time of need. It's, as we say, genomic testing when you need it the most. It is the strength of many delivered through the power of one organization, LifeMark Partners. But our power as one can be even more. We're extending our power beyond to meet a societal goal. Together, we're going to help in finding a cure for cancer in a meaningful way. We will be partnering with the American Cancer Society. There it is. The power of this group can be part of the power that makes that all happen. And you'll hear more about that later on in the presentation. This is the double helix, and those letters are your A, C, T's, and G's. And so our partnership with you is the entryway into the world of genomics. You don't need to be afraid if you don't know much about it. Bill and I didn't know much about it not that long ago. And you don't need to be intimidated. But it is fascinating. It's not that complicated. And you are not expected to be the experts. In our partnership, your folks at WGA, they are your experts. The human genome is comprised of 6.4 billion nucleotides Half come from your mom and half come from your dad. We broke the code down into 4 letters, A, C, T's, and G's, and these are the 4 nucleotides that make up your DNA. If we took one human genome and you started to read a book and you read it 8 hours a day, it would take you 50 years to read through the A, C, T's, and G's of one human genome. 17 years ago, we discovered a way to sequence the letters, to put them in order, and thus we uncovered the software or operating system of human life. Once we understood the position of the letters, we were able to see that the letters for human beings are 99.5% the same. That makes sense because we're the same species. We all have 2 ears, 1 nose, 2 nostrils, 10 fingers. But it's the 1/2 of 1% that makes each of us us, or unique. And it's the study of that 1/2 of 1% that is driving all of the discoveries in the genomic world. For example, where I have an A and you have a G may mean that you have a lot of hair and I don't have any. Or why you like spicy food and I don't. Or why I sleep on the right side of the bed and you sleep on the left. Now, those are all cute and nice things to know, but the real discoveries are the clinical findings. The real discoveries are the clinical findings. Like where I have an A where it should be a G, does that mean I have a higher probability of getting brain cancer? With the ever-increasing computational power, more machine learning, and some artificial intelligence, scientists around the world are digging into that 1/2 of 1%. And with it, we're accelerating the pace, and more clinical and actionable discoveries are coming with our ever-increasing understanding of the human genome. So we're at the beginning of this phenomena. The bottom line is genomics is extending lives today. Over time, you'll learn more about the human genome, but for now, you don't need to stress out about the science. That's our job. You will see our products are relatively simple and easy to understand, but very effective. So enough of the science for now. You'll hear more from Mark Winham in a bit, and also Mike. You and I share a business DNA. It's called the life insurance industry. In the life insurance industry, have we seen in the last 3 or 4 years a lot about innovation? Innovate this, innovate that. New insurtech organizations have been formed. VC funds have been put together to create and invest in life insurance innovation. But really think about it. Tell me, how many groundbreaking innovations have you seen or been part of in the past 3 to 5 years? Groundbreaking. Tell me, how many new innovations have you seen and adopted that made your job easier and made your advisors and their clients more satisfied? How many have enhanced your ties to your advisors and their clients and differentiated you or them from their competition or your competition in a meaningful and competitive manner? In fact, from what I can tell, much of the money spent on innovation is targeted at us, the agents. Get rid of the agents. Figure out another way to sell insurance. Are we enjoying the benefits of innovation, or is it just more of the same old grind? Multiple product spreadsheets, basis points of comparison, the shrinking advisor pool, the millennials and their detachment to our business model and to our products, and stagnation or slow growth on the demand side. And then throw in the new tax bill and the new estate and the gift tax rules, and well, I think we've got our hands full. And in many cases, we're running hard just to stay even. To me, it feels like the same old business with just a few new bells and whistles. I mean, how about you? But every once in a while, real innovation comes along. And this past summer, Bill Shiloh and what has now become our team at Womberg Genomic Advisors, by pure coincidence, we became involved in the genomic ecosystem in La Jolla, California. And for us, the match was lit. Bill and our teams have been working on this program daily since then. Bill and our teams saw that there was a perfect opportunity for the life insurance industry and its distributors to change the narrative and to use genomic products to enhance engagement with our policyholders. We saw an unprecedented way to extend relationships. We were lucky. We were in the right place at the right time with the right set of skills and with the financial capital to invest to make it happen. And when we assembled a team of insurance experts with genomic experts to study the opportunity, the dots quickly became connected. We found a huge void and a huge opportunity. We found a world where the genomic labs were looking for more distribution outside of their traditional channels. And we knew that the life insurance industry was desperately looking for a change, looking for a new narrative. Hey, we have millions of policyholders who would like to live a longer, healthier life. Can we help them? The pieces have come together, and the strategic alignment is airtight. We all want our policyholders to live a longer and healthier life for sure. And now we can provide them the tools and the techniques through quality genomic products to do just that. Genomics, insurance, advisors, it all comes together. And now LifeMark Partners stands out in the world of IMOs. Both the carriers and LifeMark Partners advisors can now become the educators, the promoters, the sponsors, and in some cases, the payors of quality clinical genomic products that will extend lives and extend relationships. And this will be done through numerous embedded policy features and joint marketing programs like ours with Cancer Guardian. Our relationship with LifeMark Partners is built on this basic premise. Together, we will bring genomic products, quality genomic products, to your advisors and to their policyholders. These products will be affordably priced so that the policyholders will be able to use them to live a longer and a healthier life. This may save the life of one of your clients or maybe one of your family members. Your advisors will be able to differentiate themselves at the point of sale. They will have new genomic products rolled out on a regular basis. In fact, Bill Shiloh and Greg Woodring, Bob Hebron, and our business development team are already working on new ideas to come. Here's a list of the products to come down the pipeline. The first is Cancer Guardian. We'll explain that in a moment. Pharmacogenomics, no need to understand all the details of these yet, but you'll be equally as excited about the new products. Cancer screening, whole genome sequencing, and stem cell and cord blood banking. With this competitive edge, and when I was in the sales business, I always looked for any potential competitive edge like I know all of you do. But with this competitive edge, I think you'll see a boost in your recruiting, because you're the only ones that are going to have this. I think you're going to see a boost in your retention. I think you'll see a boost in your commission income. And if you see those three things, I know you're going to see a boost in your net income. You will now be able to offer your advisors on an exclusive basis a first-of-a-kind program. And you and your distribution partners will be recognized as the first, the leaders in this new genomic world. And to show you the power of our products, I have a 42-second video on our Cancer Guardian product, which we're rolling out at this meeting.
Cancer Guardian from Womberg Genomic Advisors gives you access to advanced, affordable genomic profiling when you may need it the most. Unfortunately, statistics show that on average, each of us have a 40% chance of being diagnosed with cancer in our lifetime. Furthermore, roughly 1 in 4 cancers are initially misdiagnosed. If you are diagnosed, comprehensive genomic profiling can provide detailed information about your cancer. The information that Cancer Guardian provides can be used by your physician as a personalized roadmap for optimal treatment selections. Genomic profiling can highlight details that may increase the accuracy of diagnosis, as well as additional options for potentially more effective treatments, such as targeted therapies, immunotherapies, and clinical trials based on the genetic makeup of your specific cancer. Timing and accuracy are crucial when dealing with cancer. Imagine all of the people you know who have been touched by cancer who could have benefited from Cancer Guardian. Now you and your immediate family will have access to this extremely valuable program. Cancer Guardian, genomic testing when you need it most.
And by the way, we'll be able to co-brand that not only with LifeMark, but with your own agencies. And this is one of a series of collateral materials that are in the offings right now. So our work is also going to be very beneficial for your carriers, for the carriers that are here that work with LifeMark. And we believe you'll see some benefits from this as well, which is number one, more sales from LifeMark. You will see better mortality experience and better morbidity experience from the LifeMark business. And Mark is going to explain why that is in a minute. And these benefits should lead to more profit for your carrier, and you can either keep it or you can share some of that extra margin with improved pricing or new policy features that you use with LifeMark distributors. You have lots of choices, and all the choices are good. And you can genuinely thank LifeMark partners for their leadership and creativity to make this happen.
Right. Cancer is complex. Myself and Mike and Tom, we really can't do this subject justice in an hour. But we certainly want to give you a notion of what has got us where we are today, what we're doing today, and a little bit about what the future holds as well. But cancer is complex, but directionally, this is where we're going. So, around about 100 years ago, life expectancy in the US, around about 45 years. But that's a very misleading stat. Life expectancy is an average. Roll the clock forward to 2017, life expectancy in the US is in excess of 78 years. Why is it a misleading stat? Infant mortality. 100 years ago, about 10% of children didn't make it to the age of 1 year. And there's still a handful that didn't make it to 5 years. But if you got beyond that, you generally had a lengthy life. Roll the clock forward, 2017. Infant mortality is now 0.6% in the US. Primary causes of death. 100 years ago, everything from pneumonia to diphtheria. Infectious disease, cancer doesn't even appear as a primary cause of death 100 years ago. Again, we wind the clock forward to the present. It's now diseases of aging. Heart disease is number one, cancer is number two. Wind the clock forward, and we're on the verge of this already, but certainly by 2030, the incidence of cancer is such that cancer is the primary killer in the US. It's the primary cause of death within a few years of now. Infectious disease. Why do we begin to survive childhood? Well, very basics. Everything from clean drinking water, universal sanitation. Notice in there virtually no medical practice. About the only one there is vaccination. Antibiotics were still in the distant future in terms of tackling infectious disease, and yet we started to survive more of our childhood as a result of these basic elements. However, diseases of aging. How are we tackling diseases of aging today? Partly we're tackling the environment, the air that we breathe, the sun's rays that hit us, how we protect ourselves from that. Lifestyle, the food that we eat, the saturated fats we try to avoid, but we enjoy so much. And more than ever, medical practice. Medical practice is playing an increasing part. You may have thought that medical practice has played a part right from the beginning of man. No, now is the time. Everything from screening, early detection, and treatment. And part of that early detection and getting on the right treatment is what Cancer Guardian is about. If you understand the genetic basis of cancer, you can direct yourself to the most appropriate treatment. And those treatments are blooming and flourishing. It's not about chemotherapy anymore, and it's not about radiation. There's so much more that we can direct to treating cancer. Here's a paradoxical stat. The incidence of cancer is actually growing. Again, first half of the 20th century, you had about a 1 in 3 chance during your lifetime of developing cancer. And we use the stat that 40% of people now have the chance of developing cancer in their lifetime. That's really for people born around about 1950, middle of the century. So I'm looking around the room. That's a number in this room, and myself included. But for our millennial friends, millennials born today, or whatever the new generation is, you actually have a 50% chance now of developing cancer in your lifetime. It's a paradoxical stat. So what's the biggest risk for the cause of most cancers? We've already touched on it. We're getting older. The more we survive into adulthood and the older we grow, the more our propensity for cancer. If you live long enough, you will get cancer, period. And we're all getting older in increasing numbers, hence the greater incidence of cancer. This is why the work is important. Like I say, it's not simple. There's complexity here. We talk about screening. We say, why don't we just screen everybody for their propensity to cancer? Well, actually, only 5 to 10% of cancers are actually passed on to you by your parents, some defective gene. There are cancers that run in family, and nobody knows precisely why. Obesity can run in family, and there's a connection between obesity and cancer. There's not necessarily the genetic link directly to a hereditary cancer, but nonetheless, there's a family run of cancer. But the overwhelming majority is about the mutations you acquire in your lifetime. Everything, again, from the sun's rays causing mutations in your skin, the food that we digest, the alcohol we ingest, the air that we breathe, the hydrocarbons, the fossil fuels, all of this is fuel for your mutations. And this is why it's important for Cancer Guardian, because eliminating cancer at source through the genes is probably not going to happen in our lifetime. But finding a way to understand the genetic blueprint of a cancer and getting us on the right treatment, which is exactly what our friends at Foundation have blazed the trail on, is exactly what we can bring to bear today. There is good news. There's always good news. So if you got cancer in the early 70s, you had probably a 1 in 4 chance of living 10 years or more based on the ability to diagnose, catching a cancer early, and the treatments that are available then. Again, we wind the clock forward to today. That has more than doubled. More than half the people who are diagnosed with cancer today will live 10 years or more, thanks to early intervention and the treatments and the advancement of the way to characterize a cancer. That's at an all-time high. Again, I've already touched on this. It's about improved screening, early detection, better and more effective treatments. And there are more treatments. We only ever hear about chemo, and we already hear about radiation. But as Tom mentioned in his presentation, there are targeted therapies, things that get to the heart of your cancer. Chemotherapy is indiscriminate. It will kill healthy tissue, and it will kill unhealthy tissue. Targeted therapies go after the unhealthy tissue and the unhealthy tissue alone. And cancer is now more recognized as a disease of our genes and our genetics. You will very soon stop hearing cancer referred to as lung cancer, as liver cancer. You'll start to hear it referred to as a mutation of this gene. Because not all cancers are equal. A lot of drugs are developed for a tissue-based cancer. This is a drug for lung cancer. Well, guess what? When you understand the genetic signature of a cancer, there's maybe a liver drug that can treat your lung cancer, because not all cancers are equal. When you go to the heart and the source code, a lot more treatments become available to you. And it's the introduction of these genetic testing that is improving this. Again, I refer to Foundation. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Mike. Mike will tell you about the work that Foundation is doing. But Cancer Guardian is very definitely a part of this wave. This is available to now. And we need to get the knowledge out of there, because we can move that needle on life expectancy so much. Here's a study. This is a study that resonates with people. It's not the only study out there. This is a study where 1,000 people with terminal cancer, these people are going to die of cancer, we know that. This is almost their last line. They've gone through several different testings, and this is their 4th line of testing. It's almost the Hail Mary. What can you do to help me? I'm going to die, but I want to have a quality of life, and I want to live for as long as I can with my cancer. So 1,000 patients. Half of them were genomically sequenced using something like Cancer Guardian, and actually directed to a treatment that was most appropriately genetically to their cancer. And the other half went through some sort of standard of care that exists today, just regular chemo and radiation. Those that went through a genomically guided treatment path lived 14 months longer. Already terminally ill, but 14 months longer than those that didn't. And there are numbers of studies that are growing. You imagine if we can take this way of characterizing a cancer and we can apply it much earlier, frontline testing, not 4th-line testing, and we get earlier into somebody's diagnosis and we get them on the right therapy much earlier. That 14 months is just the beginning. It'll be years. And that 10-year survival rate, 50% today, it'll be nudging way above 50%. So genetic testing's been around for a little while now, 5 to 7 years-ish. And it started off with a little bit of knowledge and certain mutations in certain genes. It was almost like rifle shots, or what we call hotspots. We were looking for that particular mutation in a particular gene. And if we didn't find it, we moved on. People maybe tested a handful of genes. But the technology is such, the cost of sequencing has come down to such that we can now test several hundred genes. And this is the basis of Foundation's product. Testing several hundred genes, looking for all possible mutations, looking through the literature, understanding what that means, and what is the most appropriate treatment. But that's not where it ends. There are new innovations all the time. And part of what WGA can do for you is not just about the here and the now, but what the future holds. That gene panel is going to continue increasing thanks to our friends at Foundation. Other ways of testing, understanding what that actually translates into and what new therapies are available and what new therapies can be developed to deal with cancer is part of the future as well.
My name is Mike Nolan. I'm with Foundation Medicine, but enough about me. I want to talk about those that we serve together and our shared purpose. Because cancer is devious, cancer is tragic, and it affects so many of us, either directly or indirectly with those that we love and care for. So when we talk about extending lives and extending relationships, what a better way to do that than to come forward to help at such a juncture in someone's life when they're facing cancer. A couple of points here. This is to educate. I'm not making any financial projections. We're a publicly traded company, and I'm really just here to share the news about how we can help. I'm not making any financial projections. So there's an enormous gap with cancer, and why is that? Well, the science is there. The science is ready. It is here. We have an FDA-approved product. This does its job. The gap, though, is in the action. The gap is in the application. The gap is in getting the word out. That's where we have shared purpose. That's where we have the opportunity to go about our respective missions with compassion and a consultative approach to help those that face this in their lives. Today, only 15% of patients that need this test actually get it. It's an educational problem. It's an access problem. One would think that the health insurance companies are all over this to cover it. They're not. That's why I'm so excited to be here with you. In life insurance, you're in their corner. You are in your client's corner. You want them to live. And if you're a cancer patient, that's all you want, is you just want to live. Another 25% get single marker testing. Imagine that your life is on the line, you're facing something so tragic, and someone shows up to you with 1980s, 1990s technology and says, let's do this. That's what that's like. Tissue that comes from a biopsy is so precious and scarce. You want to get as much as you can in terms of information from that small amount. With a Foundation Medicine test, 50 nanograms of nucleic acid allows you to look at 324 genes. With these traditional methods that 25% get, you get to look at 4 genes. And if nothing is identified, what do? It's return to sender. We can't help you. 320 other genes weren't even examined. So that's our opportunity. That's where the science is. And it's cool science, but where does it really matter? It matters when it comes to practice in clinical care. It matters when it's in that physician to patient consultation. And that can start with you as you work with your clients to help them understand you're in their corner. And should they ever come to this juncture, they'll have this access. So 60% of patients that need this don't get any genomic testing whatsoever. It's just the so-called standard of care. Off to the chemotherapy, the cytotoxic approach, it kills everything, and then we just hope that only the good tissue grows back, the good cells come back, and that the cancerous cells don't. And that's becoming more and more antiquated. With the promise of targeted therapies that look for the actual target that we can identify in that patient's tumor, or immunotherapies that look at other parameters to determine, can we activate that patient's immune system to fight that cancer? And that's proving to be more effective as well, to help people live, perhaps beat their cancer, or live longer. So our opportunity is 10 out of 10. 1.5 out of 10 today just isn't good enough. And even the 2.5 out of 10 that get the old technology, it's just not good enough. We can do more. Extending lives, and extending relationships. So the solution that we've devised has to do with a comprehensive genomic portfolio that considers that patient's clinical circumstances and brings the right tool and the right testing forward. We've tested over 200,000 patients, and every time we add to that database, we get smarter. Our tests get smarter. We're better able to understand what's happening in that patient's tumor and correlate that to specific therapies, whether those therapies are FDA-approved therapies, which are emerging rapidly, or clinical trial phase therapies, which now number in the hundreds because of the promise of precision medicine. We have over 35 biopharma partnerships. That means we have access to the clinical trials, yes, but we also know where we're going together, so we're thinking about what medicine looks like in the future, and together we're moving medicine forward for the benefit of patients. For us, it's about patient access. We want patients to have access to this test, the insight it provides, to help them in their fight.
Spending time with my children is one of the most important things I see myself as doing. Watching them grow up is such a privilege. They are the reason I'm here today. They are the reason I kept fighting and I did not give up. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2010. At that point, my kids were 1 and 2 years old, which was very, very difficult. I didn't want them to watch me go through so much pain. The treatments were very, very difficult. Part of every cancer patient's journey is the fear, not only living in pain every day and dealing with side effects, but there's always the fear of the next recurrence. And it's a very difficult fear to live with. In 2013, I had another scan and it revealed that at this point the cancer had progressed to several different locations. And at that point, my oncologists here were not giving me much hope. They were going to do some more standard chemo, hoping to prolong the inevitable, but they thought I had 1 month of good quality life left to live. I heard from a friend of a friend about CTCA and decided to give it a try. My oncologist there decided to order a genomic test. I wasn't even aware that there was such a thing as genomic testing. When I got the FoundationOne results back, I was very excited to see that there was a match for my specific type of cancer, and it wasn't a drug that was usually used to treat ovarian cancer. Go ahead, sweetie. I've been on this drug for over 2 years now, and I have almost no side effects. The side effects are very minimal. I can live with them easily, and I can lead a normal life. I've been in remission for over 2 years, which has been my longest remission to date. I've had clean reports, clear scans, nothing's there. It's really good news, yes, yes. Dealing with cancer is not just dealing with the cancer, it's treating the whole person. It's treating your body, your mind, your spirit, and I think genomic testing is part of that. I would like people with cancer to know that FoundationOne is out there and to be educated and to ask their doctor about FoundationOne. Doctors need tools and options to treat the cancer, and I think genomic testing is one of those tools. Cancer's changed me, and that I will never look at a day and take it for granted. Normalcy is precious. Being able to do normal things like driving my kids to an activity or teaching them or making them breakfast is a privilege. In 10 years, I hope to watch them graduate from high school and be there and cheer them on.
So the opportunity is 10 out of 10. In Christine's case, there was a match. There was a match that wouldn't have been identified had she been processed through the system of traditional methods, taking that tissue and looking at maybe up to 4 different markers to see if they were present or not, and then moving along. This is our opportunity with FoundationOne CDx, which is an approved, FDA-approved product, the only one of its kind, the only FDA-approved test in the category, 35% of the time, we're able to find an FDA-approved therapy that correlates with the genomic findings specific to that patient's tumor. In addition, we can identify when a patient might accrue or enroll in a clinical trial, to use these clinical trial phase therapies that can be beneficial to them as well. It's our opportunity today to partner, to go about our respective work, to move forward with the mission of getting 10 out of 10 patients that need access to this kind of testing, to have that access. They're real people. Those are real faces. Those are patients that we've been able to work with, to help, to learn from, to gain inspiration from. So many more to come. But as we go forward in our respective missions, let's do that with compassion. Let's do that with a consultative approach. When you're talking with your clients about how you're in their corner and you're there for them at these critical junctures in life, this is a great opportunity to do that with Cancer Guardian. At this point, I'll turn it over to Dan Allison. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of a personal story as it relates to this and the opportunity I think we all had. You know, my name's Dan Allison out of Brokers Clearinghouse in Des Moines. I'm also on the LifeMark board. And Bill started talking to these guys early last year. You know, being on the board, you get to hear about some of this stuff early. And originally, I looked at this kind of selfishly. I thought, what a cool business opportunity, a differentiator, you know, value added to the revenue differentiation, and everything was about the business element of this, because at that point, my life had not been touched by cancer ever. In fact, I had not been to a funeral in more than 20 years, I believe. That changed on July 5th of last year. My father-in-law, who was, you know, best grandfather in the world and great father-in-law, lost his battle to prostate cancer. The month following that, my business partner of 18 years and best friend and mentor lost his battle with brain cancer. 2 days before Thanksgiving, my mom lost her battle with colon cancer. Last month, my Uncle Pat lost the battle, and last week, my Aunt Jane lost the battle. It's been a rough 6 months. But my eyes come into this year looking at this so much differently. You know, these guys were 2 weeks ago in San Diego talking to our study group, and I heard these presentations, and I thought, my God, it's our job to get this in front of the end consumer. And I had left there, ironically, and went down to LA and saw a buddy of mine, David. David's 42. He's a marathon runner, triathlete, father of two, mirror image of me, 42 years old, 2 boys, the exact same profile. And he didn't look right. Something looked wrong, and his attitude was a little off. And I said, what's going on? And he said, well, I'm going to come clean. I haven't really told many people. I thought I had pneumonia and it wouldn't go away. And I went in and got diagnosed with lung cancer. This guy's never smoked a day in his life. And it spread to my brain and my spine. And I don't know why that one bugged me almost as much as all the family, just because this is a young, vibrant guy. And he said that they were going to prescribe just the normal, you know, chemo. We'll blast it with chemo and see what happens. And he said, oddly enough, a friend of his told him about genomic testing. He'd never heard of it. And I was just with these guys 24 hours earlier. And he said, thank God they did. I went down to LA and I got my genes tested. And they found that my body would respond specifically to a certain kind of treatment that now for 2 months I've been on. And it is rapidly reducing the cancer in my body. And he said, I have absolutely no doubt. It has extended my life, given me hope. You know, he said, you can't buy a day with your kids. But you think of the value that test had. The sad thing is, he learned about it from a friend. None of the oncologists told him about it. It cost him $10,000 to have the test done, which most people couldn't afford. Luckily, he could. So one of the things I wanted to share the story just because as partners, I know we get lost a lot of times in the, oh God, what forms do we have to fill out now? And how do we educate producers? And kind of the minutia and the monotony of, well, this is hard. And I just really hope, you know, we did hundreds of thousands of policies last year. And it's so sad to me to think about how many of those people last year got diagnosed and had no idea that this was out here. So I'm really hopeful, guys, that 12 months from now, we're sitting in this room talking about all the successes and all the lives that we changed, and we're not getting wrapped up in the little details, because I can tell you, as somebody who sat, I held 3 out of 5 of those people's hands as they took their last breath, and it's awful. This is a terrible disease, and I think we've got an incredible opportunity, and I think the differentiation and all that stuff is icing on the cake. I think it's incredibly unique. So that's my personal story. Hopefully it helps somebody kind of maybe look at this a little differently than just a good business opportunity, because on every one of those apps is a human being, a mom and a dad, and nobody should have to go through that. So thanks for letting me share. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, let me wrap up here. I want to close by sharing with you our new agreement with the American Cancer Society. This is an exciting partnership, and once again, exclusive to LifeMark Partners and WGA. We all know that it takes a lot of money and a lot of research to cure cancer. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to ask anybody for money. I see some people crossing their arms already. I'm not going to ask you for any money. But together, we're going to go to the forefront in the battle to defeat cancer. We're going to play a big role in that. And our goal with LifeMark Partners is to have 1 million Cancer Guardian certificates in force by January of 2020. Now, why 1 million? Well, the math is pretty simple. Your network issues roughly 250,000 new policies per year. Over 3 years, that's 750,000 without any growth. You have a little over 2 million in-force policies. So they add that up, we're a little over 3 million. When you add spouses at 75% and they're eligible, that gets us over 5 million. And so if you have a 20% take rate on 5 million, you get 1 million certificates in place in 3 years. WGA, we're going to contribute 5 cents per month per certificate, or 60 cents per year per certificate to the American Cancer Society. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but times 1 million, that's $600,000 per year, and hopefully growing. This was President Carter. He's living and with us, building homes today because of this technology. 2 years ago, he had melanoma that had metastasized, and it went to his brain. And we thought we were looking at a state funeral, and fortunately, he was able to get sequenced. They found a targeted therapy. 2 years later, he's not in remission, he's cancer-free. So here's what the certificates are going to do. We start with 1 million certificates. That's our goal. That creates a $600,000 annual donation. More donations mean more research, and the American Cancer Society has agreed that our donations will go specifically to more genomic research, specifically to our space. More research means more data. Remember these bioinformatics, they got to have more data. The more data, the more iterations, algorithms, and the more discoveries. The more data means these tests get better and better and better over time. The better the test, the more lives that are saved and cured, and we all go back to the top again. So it's kind of a perfect circle. More tests, more money, more data, more improvement in the tests, the more lives saved, and it's a perfect circle. It just continues to go round and round. And you're all part of getting that million or 2 million or 3 million certificates out there. So, let me summarize our partnership and comments today. First of all, as I said a number of times, this program is truly unique, it's truly first of its kind. Everybody wins in this partnership. There's no losers. The strength of many, the power of one, again. Your policyholders, your advisors, you, the agency owners, as well as LifeMark Partners itself, and all of your carriers are going to be winners here as well. And so is the American Cancer Society, which means all of mankind will benefit. Now keep in mind what we've done, are doing, has never been done before. So we're the pioneers. So we don't have all the answers yet. We don't even have all the questions yet. But we do have the knowledge and the resources, and I think you've seen the resources, to make it happen. And we have the will and the ability to execute to make sure this does happen. So we're on a mission that's bigger than all of us, but it's where all of us can make a difference. And the difference is the first time in our careers, we may be responsible for extending lives, and in some cases, we may be personally responsible for saving lives. So it's going to take a team effort, but from the discussions with many of you, I think we have your support. So in closing, you're here today because you're a leader. You're a leader in the life insurance industry. And leaders lead. A great comment I heard from General Schwarzkopf. He said, when it's your time to lead, lead. When it's your time to lead, lead. So this is a new concept. You're going to be in the trenches with it, working to make it successful. And once again, execution is key. But we'll tackle the doubters, we'll tackle the half-believers, and we'll make them converts. And we at WGA will be in the trenches with you. We'll be there side by side, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, working together to make this launch successful. Thank you for your partnership, your faith. Godspeed to all of us. Thank you.